Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday to you on this August 6th, 2025. I got all of your stories for your rush hour ride to work, and it is an exciting one today. Some drama going on in Bachelor in Paradise as a contestant is publicly speaking out, fighting the edit. They call it frankenbiting. That's when they insert words into your mouth you may or may not have said. I'll share what that story is all about. Plus, we bid adieu to Howard Stern. He's announcing his retirement, aka his show has been canceled. And then speaking of canceled, Blake Lively has a lot of interesting things going on in her court documents as Perez Hilton has fired out a sneaky and snarky response in court documents. We expect nothing less from Perez Hilton. And then more on the Epstein story, of course, waiting for the September 2nd return of Congress so they can release the Epstein files. In the meantime, there is an evidence gathering mission as reporters continue to peg Trump with questions regarding Ghislaine Maxwell and why she was transferred to a new prison. And then we'll have Texas on the map as they try to gerrymander the state to steal votes. Well, the folks that don't want that to happen are fighting. They say they're not going to lay down and let the bullies win. So we love to see a David and Goliath story. We're going to cover all this and more. It starts right now on The Rush. And don't forget, we have our teacher wish list. Today we're shouting out Raven in San Antonio and Frankie in Las Vegas. Great teachers. Raven, a math teacher. Frankie teaches autism, grades 3 to 5. Whether it's whatever subject you teach out there, we're all for supporting teachers so they can decorate their classrooms, provide supplies, things that aren't in the budget from the school system. It's underfunded, but we love them, and there's a link in the description if you want to help out our teachers. And I got a big announcement for you guys. Are you ready for it? We're about to break the internet. 15 months ago today, I helped birth this beautiful baby boy. This is August. It is August in August, 15 months today. Doesn't he look fantastic? He's got egg on the face. That was from a Sunday brunch right there, but the teeth are coming in nice. And of course, that signature Neil hair is long and flowing with a nice linen shirt. Just something to smile about and brighten your day. All right, well, Jeremy is in the Bachelor in Paradise news. And by the way, I did Reality Steve's podcast. We always have a great time, Reality Steve and I do. We should be doing like a weekly show. How come Steve and I aren't doing a weekly show? Do you guys want that? I don't know. I don't know if you guys can handle that. But either way, you can go check that out on Steve's podcast. It should be live today, I believe, maybe tomorrow. So hold your horses on that one. But here's what Jeremy had to say. And if you aren't following Paradise, Jeremy is dating Bailey on the show. And Jeremy, of course, has had a rough edit, to say the least. He said in this last episode that he doesn't care if the Golden Bachelors stay or go. He even said in a hotel room that he wanted Susie to come back and didn't want to be with Bailey. But now he's claiming it's all the edit's doing. He tagged Bachelor in Paradise and ABC on his Instagram and said, if you are going to blatantly insert words in my interviews from other conversations to make it seem like I'm saying something I never said, please at least make it cleaner and less obvious. He's saying, if you're going to do your job, do it with better audio and technology. But either way, this is definitely against the contract. I like that he's fighting back, but this is what they do. They take what you said, they splice it, they dice it, they chop it, they mop it, they do whatever the hell they want to you because they sign away a predatory contract and it sucks. But good on him. Fight back. Yeah, make them sue you. Stick to your truth, guy. And again, I don't know, a lot of things he said. It's always the same story every year. It's always the same story. Well, even if he didn't say it that way, he's still a jerk. Well, is he? I don't know. I don't know what to trust. It's kind of all made up, isn't it? Either way, his season's not over anytime soon. But Howard Stern's season is over. It's on the way out. The Howard Stern Show to be canceled after nearly 20 years on SiriusXM as a $100 million contract is up later this year. I still can't believe how much money he makes. He makes between 80 to 120 million a year. Here's what I don't understand. How are you making 80 to 120 million a year? I know taxes are high in that bracket, but how are you only worth $600 million? You couldn't pass into the $1 billion range. Apparently he buys a house for $50 million a couple years ago and is now worth $300 million. So there he was, stirring with a legendary career in radio spanning several decades. I mean, he was the podcaster before podcasting exists. What's funny is up until a few years ago, he thought podcasting wasn't going to be a thing. But I think as we now realize, podcasting's taking his job from him for sure. Well, whatever you think of him, he really is iconic and, one of the godfathers of radio. So he's 71 years old. We're all getting old, folks. We're all dying. We're all one day closer to death. Speaking of which, extend that brow line. You feeling bad? Feeling like you're closer to death? Just get plastic surgery. Well, Jamie Lee Curtis says plastic surgery is a genocide. Well, here's exactly what she said. I'm going to share what they said in response to her. But she said, I've been very vocal about the genocide of a generation of women by the cosmeceutical industrial complex who've disfigured themselves. And here is a response by Terry Dubrow, celebrity doctor.
Recently, Jamie Lee Curtis made comments calling plastic surgery a genocide disfigurement. What's your take on those remarks? What do you think about that? Okay. What did you think when you heard that?
I thought, Jamie Lee Curtis is a great actress, but maybe Jamie Lee Curtis needs a dictionary because it's not genocide. Okay, last time I checked, it's not a crime against humanity, and Botox is not a crime against humanity. It's not genocide, and
to be fair though, she's not talking about Botox. She's talking about the inability to live up to the beauty standards that exist out there. She's talking about the Kylie Jenners, all of the Jenners, right? The money that gets put into people's faces, and in some cases it works out. Oh my gosh, did you see whoever's facelift? It's the best thing in the world. And then some people get botched. I knew someone who was botched. They had a botched face job, and they ended up having to go on botched. And it ruined, their face. They're donezo. And in most cases, it's somewhere in between. That selling sunset look of just kind of like, and you're supposed to say, oh no, you're so brave for getting work done. And it's like, listen, I've said this before and I'll say it again, do whatever the hell you want with your body. But to say, oh no, it's not genocide, it's like, sure, by the definition of what genocide is, absolutely. But you're missing the point of her argument, which I can understand clearly, is more about the idea that why can't we age gracefully? Why can't we embrace our God-given bodies? And it's like, I get it. I understand. I know how alluring it must be to throw a little Juvederm here, a little lip plump there, fillers over here, this over that. But, this whole idea we've been sold on, I'm just doing it for me. It's like, bullshit. I mean, but look, I'm not shaming people that have had work done. I do think, though, there is this pressure in a very weird time in society that you can't age gracefully. And then you get someone like Pamela Anderson, who, by the way, I'm sure obviously has had work done, but now she's going less into the makeup world and she's trying to promote that natural beauty. And it's like, look, maybe there's a mix somewhere, but anyhow, for the doctor to say, oh, there's nothing wrong with Botox. It's like, bro, I think Jamie Lee's not talking about Botox. I think she's talking about people that, completely change the way they look. All right, well, let's get into the old Blake Lively of things. Because Blake Lively's had work done, but where she is in her career, I don't think it's like life-changing, right? She's had good work done, but it's like, you just got to be careful. You don't want to go too far, or go too far. Do whatever the hell you want. But let's not pretend like, oh, it's just for me. It's like, really? I don't know about that. Blake Lively's judge is biased in favor of Baldoni's nemesis, and I just told him that. So says Perez Hilton. Perez Hilton is fighting back, so he lives in Nevada, and he decided, I don't want to play this game in New York. I want to play it in my home turf. Judge Lyman, Mario Armando Lavandera Jr., known professionally as Perez Hilton, write as a non-party in Lively v. Wayfarer Studios to inform the court that I have filed a motion to quash the subpoena served on July 19th by counsel for plaintiff Blake Lively. My motion was filed in the United States District Court for the District of Nevada. I'm attaching PDFs of the filing, which has been ingested and docketed by the court. Las Vegas was listed as a place for compliance in the subpoena. It is also where I live and work and the appropriate venue for me to fight Blake Lively's pattern of abuse discovery practices. The subpoena she served on me is legally unsound and unenforceable. It is my immense pleasure that this will all be decided in Nevada and not in your court, where, in my opinion, you have shown clear bias in favor of the defendant and have ruled in a manner that is shameful and a great concern for the public. Whoa, tell us how you really feel there, Mario. Per the court in Nevada, notice that the court form. Okay, so they have the case stuff there. I have informed the unethical counsel for Miss Lively and served them notice of my motion to quash. Please note that no action is required from the Southern District of New York, and I am simply fulfilling my obligation to inform the court of developments that may relate to discovery matters in this case. XOXO Mario. Of course, the XOXO coming from Gossip Girl, which, if you didn't know, Blake Lively starred in. Perez then writes to Blake's lawyers. Miss Hudson, it is my immense pleasure to inform you that I have just filed a motion to quash the legally unsound and unenforceable subpoena you served me with on July 19th. The place of compliance you listed was Vegas. He also says, attached is my receipt. I would also like to thank Mr. Gottlieb for bringing me up to Judge Lyman at the hearing yesterday. I am flattered that you all think I played such a pivotal part in the non-existent smear campaign you have accused Baldoni and the Wayfair parties of orchestrating against zero-time Oscar-nominated actress Blake Lively. Oh, the low blow. He had to throw in the Oscars. Oh, this is rich. As a courtesy, Jesus Christ. As a courtesy, Mario, I will inform the Southern District of New York that motion to quash has been accepted and filed in Nevada. Thankfully, Judge Lyman will not get to rule on this. Have a wonderful day. XOXO Perez. And then finally, he says, hey, cuties, writes this to Ezra Hudson, Blake Lively's attorney. Just wanted to let you know that my motion to quash your unenforceable subpoena has been ingested, docketed, and updated. Have a super duper weekend. I'm super proud of you all and the millions you've been grifting from Ryan Reynolds' bank account. Keep up the mediocre work. XOXO. Well, hey, tell us how you really feel. Listen, I get it. The court system's supposed to be this place where it's highly respected, but it's like, he can, you know what I mean? Like Perez Hilton, he can do what he wants. He can be provocative. He can call it how he sees it. He's, a non-party here. Live your life, Perez. I got to tell you, Perez has been around this industry for a long time. And when you're around this industry for a long time, you're part of the lore of the blogging world. I mean, he really is like the godfather. He is to blogs what Howard Stern is to radio, really, right? And, Perez Hilton was part of the problem back in the day, the problem that, all journalists were a part of, from Barbara Walters to everyone in between, the sort of like celebrity a culture, the intrusiveness, and not really knowing how to cope with that new world of paparazzi culture. Absolutely. But the guy's still ticking. He's adjusted to the times. He's sort of made amends from all I've seen. And you kind of got to give credit where it's due. I mean, to have this kind of longevity in this career. Look, I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to fillet old Mario over here, but respect where it's due. All right, moving it along. Speaking of respect, we love Leanne Newton. She's in the UK across the pond. Says this, because there are so many court documents that are coming out right now in the Blake Lively case. So many. It's hard to really, it's like sipping water through a garden hose. Sipping water through a fire hydrant, I think is what it's called. So anyway, she says Lively is reserving the right to request that the judge revoke Friedman's pro hoc vice admission as part of the request for sanctions against him. What does that mean? I don't know. She says this would mean he would not be able to represent Wayfair in this lawsuit anymore. Lively is attempting to clip Friedman's wings so he cannot defend his clients against her own public statements. It's sneakily hidden amongst the rest of the 25-page word salad, but it's there. My thoughts. Friedman's pissed her off big time at the deposition, and she's lashing out as she always does. Although Miss Lively seeks only a public admonishment in an award of costs and fees at this time, Miss Lively reserves all rights to seek appropriate remedial instructions prior to trial, as well as to seek additional sanctions in the event Mr. Friedman continues to violate the rule. So they say that he's got these repeated failures to obey court systems. Again, we'll have to see what the judge has to say about all this. Pretty heavy claims being levied there by old Blake Lively. Someone said, do you think she will be successful in removing Friedman from representing Baldoni? And Leanne said, no, it's a very high bar, even in Lyman's court. Kitty says, is Ryan extra mad at Brian Friedman because he was also Alanis Morissette's lawyer? Oh boy, that's a whole nother layer to the story there. So yeah, some folks are saying this might be Blake Lively being extremely upset. Maybe the deposition didn't go well. Honestly, we can only speculate at this point, which I kind of feel is quite harmless considering how this is playing out so publicly. And I wanted to respond to this tweet. I don't really go on Twitter much, but when I do, I've just noticed, I guess I inserted myself. I thought I was operating in good faith. I really, truly mean that. I responded to a comment kind of giving my opinion about, why something might be. And then I was just immediately invited to be dunked on by several of these pro Blake Lively folks. And it's like, whatever, I guess that's the game people play on Twitter. But as you saw with, when I sort of got into a spat with, Taylor Lorenz, I was in LA and she lives there, and we decided just to go on a walk and have an interview. I thought it went very well. Some people thought maybe I shouldn't have had the interview with her, but the point being is that when you get off Twitter and you go into the real world, usually people can actually exist and have normal conversations. Twitter and some of these short form, social media companies, they just bring out the worst in us, and it really bums me out. So that's my own fault for sort of dipping into that world. And my thought here, I was asked this question. I said I'll answer on my morning episode of the Rush Hour, because my thought here in the Kurt Metzger School of Social Media is, why give away my content for free? Why share my opinion for free when I can do it on my channel at work? Don't get me when I'm off the clock. But either way, Chase said, Neil, you don't work for these people. I'm guessing she means Justin Baldoni. If the answer is no, why have you caped for them so hard? And look, I can't be objective because, I don't follow everyone else's content, but I'd like to think my audience that, tends to be about 50 to 100,000 people a day tuning in from all different, sort of aspects of this case. I like to think people appreciate the fact that I'm going to call it how I see it. Now, does that mean I come without a bias? No, of course not. I've got my own bias. But does that mean that I just started with some vendetta against Blake Lively? No, not at all. In fact, I feel bad for Blake Lively in some ways. I feel as though this whole case went down because she wanted more control in a movie where she wasn't signed on for that control. She wanted to direct. She wanted to take part. She wanted to kind of maybe be bossy and have her creative opinion considered in a world where her husband and best friend are these change makers. She's an actress, and it sounds great and they get paid a lot of money, but in the end they got to stand on a dotted line and they have to recite their lines, and it's probably kind of boring after a while, after the initial aura wears off. So in my thought, Blake Lively in this whole thing is just kind of over it and didn't want to take direction from somebody who's in her mind less talented or less less of a star power. But again, these are just my opinions. I have no idea. But do I cape for them for this? No, I think and again, I've been approached on the street from people that are very close to this case, and they just say thank you for kind of calling it how you see it. And again, that's what's so interesting with this case, right? They try to smear people. They try to make it like it's all right-wing people, or it's all this, or it's all that. Trust me, you gain some audience, then you have a take about something they don't like, then you lose some audience, right? It's all over the map. It's all over the map. But this last thing I'll say about it is these folks, God bless them, they were like, boy, it was weird. You didn't pick a side until you saw where all the money was going. I just think that's so foolish. When I covered Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp, I made a point to not give a definitive opinion until the whole court case was done. And I kind of do the same thing now. I don't have a definitive opinion. From all of the information I've seen now, it seems as though, in my opinion, Blake Lively was trying to, overstate her claims in order to get more control of the film. That's how I'm seeing it right now. If evidence comes out in discovery that changes my opinion, you guys will be the first to know. But I don't think that's some crazy conspiracy, and I'm not caping for anybody, although I did have to Google what did it mean. I had to Google what does caping mean. I have no idea. So either way, Chase, there you go. There's your nice long answer from me. You probably won't listen anyway, but there it is. All right, let's move on to this. We got Epstein coming up next, the story that won't die. Stick around. That'll be our next topic.